Certainly. So the Santa Monica Democratic Club is having a DA candidate forum in which George Gascon will finally make an appearance and try to defend his policies in public. I sought to be invited to this because they've invited all the other candidates that are involved in the race, and I was blocked by the club. They basically said, since I'm a registered independent, I'm a no-party preference, and not a registered Democrat, and they were forbidding me from participating in this candidate forum, which is quite ironic, given that they're the Democratic Club. They supposedly espouse democratic ideals of inclusiveness and hearing all voices, yet I'm the one voice that they don't want to hear. I'm the leading candidate as far as fundraising goes. I've got key endorsements from former DA Steve Cooley and 5 LA U.S. attorneys. George Gascon does not want to face me directly, so it's not a surprise that he agreed to this candidate forum where he knew I would not be able to participate. And when I asked the organizers, I said, look, criminals don't ask for your party registration before they rob you. So too should you, the Democratic Club, not ask for a candidate's party card before you allow them to bring their views and hear what they have to say to the public. Their response, no, we're not going to let you speak.
How do you think the debate's going to go?
Certainly.
Yeah.
I think George Gascon is finally going to see what it's like to defend his policies in public from candidates like myself, if I were there, who will basically point out the fact that these pro-criminal policies have resulted in our safety and security going in the wrong direction. The criminals are now emboldened and incentivized to commit crime in LA County, whereas before they were not. That victims feel that the representative that used to be the DA's office has abandoned them, and that law enforcement, who used to view the DA's office as its prime partner, has felt, again, equally abandoned. I think these points will be made over and over and over by the other candidates against George Gascon. We'll hear his defense of his failing policies. And again, if I was there, I would be able to hammer home these points repeatedly. I'll have to wait for another opportunity, which I don't think Gascon's going to give me, in order to basically address him mano a mano and see if he can actually defend these failing policies.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Certainly.
In the past few media events where local elected officials from the city of Los Angeles or the county of Los Angeles have had news conferences on a major crime, like the 10 freeway fire, now considered an act of arson, which is a felony, is a serious crime. George Gascon was nowhere to be seen at the news conference with Karen Bass, Mayor Karen Bass, and Governor Gavin Newsom. Why do you think that is? Why is he not invited anywhere?
You point out the fact that George Gascon is not invited when Mayor Karen Bass wants to have important news conferences. He wasn't invited in this most recent one dealing with the arson on the 10 freeway, even though it's the DA's office that would pursue and prosecute any arsonist. When Mayor Bass set up the Organized Retail Crime Task Force, she invited the sheriff, Sheriff Luna, Michael Moore from the LAPD, the police chiefs from the various local jurisdictions, and not even invited to the press conference was George Gascon, because he stands for the pro-criminal policies that she was trying to push back against as we were dealing with this huge spate of smash and grab robbers that were creating a sense of fear for people to go into department stores and shopping complexes for fear that they were going to be victimized by smash and grab robbers. Mayor Bass understood she had to do something about it. The DA's office is the one that will prosecute all those people, yet Mayor Bass didn't want to have George Gascon taint her press conference and didn't even invite him to it. If Nathan Hochman, or when Nathan Hochman is the district attorney, not only will I be invited to the press conferences, I will hold them. and invite Mayor Bass and invite Gavin Newsom, the governor, to my press conference, because I will be in charge with law enforcement of going after people who are committing crimes in LA County. George Gascon wants to coddle them. I want to prosecute them.
Mr. Hochman, the City Controller's Office has just released the new numbers on evictions for the City of Los Angeles at 66,007 since February. That may add to the homeless problem that we already have. How do you explain that George Gascon is not involved in the homeless crisis? How is he not involved in care court? How is he not involved in dealing with this housing issue? Isn't that part of the problem that we're having in the city of Los Angeles with the crime? Is people losing their housing and committing crimes, or going to Target and stealing things because they can't afford to pay rent? They have to do this or that. They have to make what Kamala Harris calls a false choice. So what's that about?
So the DA needs to be part of the solution for the homeless crisis here in the county. As we heard recently in the recent numbers, is that it went from 70,000 homeless individuals to 75,000 in the last count. Even though Mayor Bass is trying, she's basically gotten units for almost 2,000 people. The number has gone up beyond 2,000 just in the year in which he's tried to deal with the homeless crisis. Gascon has blanket policies against going after anyone committing trespassing in the county, anyone loitering in the county, basically taking two of the ways that the law enforcement deals with the homeless when they're trespassing on your front lawn or loitering on your front lawn or using your front lawn as a toilet, to remove them under the guise of the law. But George Gascon doesn't want to be part of the solution at all. He'll complain about the problem, but when he actually takes the DA's office out of the picture, from partnering with the social service organizations, the LA Department of Housing Services Authority, the Department of Mental Works, the HOST team, the Homeless Outreach Services team led by the Sheriff's Department. You've basically then removed the DA's office from part of the solution. Under my administration, I will bring back that partnership to deal head-on with the homeless issue.
As far as victims go, how do you see domestic violence? Last year's numbers and the year prior year, somewhere around there, we had about 13,000 in the city, and I don't know the county numbers, but I think it's the continuum of care numbers. 13,000 women are homeless due to domestic violence. This is at no fault of their own. They have literally fled their housing onto the streets due to domestic violence. Why do you think George Gascon has completely ignored that issue?
Why has our district attorney, who's sworn to uphold the law, decided not to uphold the law? You almost have to ask George Gascon that question. I can't even speculate why he would have taken the oath and then violated the oath, particularly as it deals with domestic violence situations, some of the worst situations in our system. I will fully support all domestic violence victims by bringing the full weight of the law against their victimizers. Often it's a spouse or a boyfriend, or it can even be an acquaintance. And we have to go after the victimizers so they understand, again, where the line is that they cannot cross. George Gascon has moved that line in favor of the criminals, in favor of the victimizers, and they've recognized that they can get away with a lot more over the last 3 years, and they are. We'll bring that line back to consistently and fairly enforce it. And the victimizers will know that if you want to go ahead and commit domestic violence in LA County, the punishment will be consistent, fair, just, and the line will not move.
Last question. George Gascon says that he has criminogenic data that shows that releasing a violent felon who has committed a serious violent crime onto the streets is not going to reoffend. What criminogenic data is he talking about, and where is he getting this source? And is that data-driven policy decision-making reliable?
One of the factors that George Gascon has to take into account in any release of a criminal is whether they're going to be a danger to the community or a flight risk. So basically whether or not they're going to reoffend. and pose a continuous danger to the public, and whether or not they're going to show up for their hearings. When it comes to violent and serious offenders, I can't imagine any data that shows that if you give them no cash bail at all, that you basically arrest them in the morning and release them by the afternoon, that somehow that has dealt with the risk that these people pose as a danger to the community. George, show me that data. It doesn't exist. And again, we're not talking about non-violent, non-serious first-time offenders doing low-level crimes. We're talking about violent and serious offenders, often predators, who have done it more than once. Those are the people that the bail system is set up for to keep in custody unless they can meet a very, very high bail that will assure that they'll show up and not reoffend. Again, that data that George Gascon is relying on is either absent or completely flawed.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to
Thank you,
add?
Mr. Hochman.
Certainly.
Do you want to address the fact that you are politically independent and
Yeah.
what role you think political party should have in the DA's race?
Certainly. So in this race, I'm a registered independent. That's a no party preference candidate. And I'm leaning into the idea that a DA should be fiercely independent of political party and political ideology. If you want to know what happens when you call the balls and strikes for criminal justice, when you do something other than look at the evidence in the law, look at George Gascon, who's decided that there are certain criminals and certain crimes that he just won't go after or laws he won't enforce. That is not the job of the district attorney who swears to uphold all the laws, not just the laws he likes. I believe so much that a district attorney should avoid the appearance of having any association with a political party or an ideology that I encourage every other candidate to right now register as a no party preference independent, so that no voter and no citizen or resident of LA County will suspect that I would make a decision that would favor a Democratic victim over a Republican defendant, or vice versa. You have to take party politics and partyology out of the equation if you want to restore the credibility and trust of the district attorney's office. And that's exactly what I will do when I become district attorney.